You have to do that for about 30 seconds, don't you?
I thought I was looking a bit pale, mate, so I'm just trying to bring the blood to the face.
Yeah.
Yes, guys, welcome back to the 3 More Points podcast. This one is the big one. This is not only with the big dog, Josh Aveste. Hello, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm very good. I'm very good. Carry on, though, because you're in a flow.
You're in a flow. Absolutely delighted with the fact that I know 3 points are 3 points, right? But some wins just taste that much better. It's like saying a curry's a curry. It's not. A good curry is a great curry, and a shit curry is a shit curry. I haven't, but yesterday I wanted everything, mate. I wanted a curry, I wanted a naan, I wanted the lot. I even fancied a beer, which I haven't had for a while.
I was going to say, I thought the beer was coming with the curry.
We stuck with the vitamin waters, mate. Vitamin B,
yeah. I'm
B12,
proud of you.
B3. Honestly, what a win. I genuinely think that there's certain games that we delve into and we can talk about like the finite details and tactics, and we'll do that today. We'll talk about individual performances, but top line it for me, because it's been very rare that we can beat a top 6 side, but we've finally done it and we beat the champions.
Yeah, and I don't want any caveats to this. I don't want to go, oh, they're on the beers, oh, they put their second team out, oh, you know, blah, 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 blah. We beat Liverpool. Who gives a fuck? I don't care anymore. They brought on some of their best players. We've had half our team out for the entire season. Quite frankly, we deserve to win. We outplayed them. We look absolutely majestic. And quite frankly, George, if you're now not predicting a title challenge next year, you are a disgrace and not really a Chelsea fan anymore, to be honest with you.
I mean, I saw one guy, I might put this up on the screen here, but there was some guy last night who'd obviously had more than a few beers. He went on the live stream post the end of the stream. 6 Things We Learnt was already out, but he's left me about 25 comments. None of them make any articulate sense, but I think it was just the players, actually, the celebrations in the changing rooms after. This is good to see, because I think one of my qualms, and again, it's all like speculation, right? We spend a lot of time on the internet, particularly on YouTube, right? We all think we know best.
Whatever you fancy, George. Whatever you fancy.
I mean, I don't know what you're thinking about goes on in the changing rooms, but that's your prerogative. For me, last night, seeing those videos, I think Trev was the one filming, all the players are dancing. We're kind of acting like we won the league, which obviously we haven't, and nothing's achieved yet. But to see the group looking so together is actually a really, really big moment for us, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the thing that we've really been sort of like calling out for the entire season. We've got a young team, and I think in the vacuum of leadership, what you really do need is sort of like a team spirit and a togetherness. And I think with the way that Chelsea have built this squad, you do worry that they are a little bit mercenary, and they are like, you worry about the motivation. Performances like that, and also, as you say, the celebrations show that they are together as a team. There is a bond there, and I think really also bonds take time to build, don't they? And especially when you've got different players coming from all over the world, different backgrounds, you know, that sort of thing. It's not always easy to build those connections between players. Like, who would have thought that, you know, Cole Palmer and Nicholas Jackson would build up a sort of like, you know, a telepathic sort of connection sometimes like they have on the pitch. It's really encouraging as Chelsea fans. Like, obviously, I was there in the ground, mate, and I haven't heard an atmosphere as buoyant and as happy as that in a very long time. It really makes everything a little bit easier. Like, you remember Maresca earlier on, you know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago now. He was saying we need the Chelsea fans to be up for us, and then the players will be, you know, will hear that and react accordingly. I think sometimes, and you've been to Stamford Bridge, it needs to be the other way round. Get that early goal, you know, allay all the fears and the nervousness, and then, you know, the fans will really support you. Because I have to say, we really did drive the players on. Obviously, their performances are exemplary, and quite frankly, they don't necessarily always need us. But the fans really assisted that, I think, yesterday, and that momentum really told for the rest of the game. And this is the thing: if you could build positive momentum in the dressing room, you can then build positive momentum around the manager, and you also build positive momentum around the fans. And then the world's your oyster, isn't it? Then you can really push for trophies and success, I think.
I literally had a bee in my bonnet about this game. I was like, there's not a better match day within a 38-game season than to play the team that have just won the league within a week of them winning the league.
So
because
true.
If there's ever going to be a game they switch off, it has to be that one. So as much as I don't want to say, Liverpool were not as good as they weren't as good as they have been. They did make changes to the starting 11, but you can only beat what is put in front of you. And I think Chelsea yesterday, from minute number 1, we were like we're going to beat this Liverpool team. We've got to beat this Liverpool team because we've got something to fight for here. Scoring an early goal, we have seen too often with this Chelsea team that it can be very mundane, very pedestrian, and we really struggle. And I think yesterday we came out the blocks quickly, and the whole move for that first goal was fantastic. You've got Lavia shielding the ball in the middle, giving it to Palmer, gets it forward to Neto, who was very direct, and Enzo Fernández, because of Lavia and Caicedo. And I think we should really start digging into this game by talking about Lavia and Caicedo specifically. But Enzo's got that freedom to be that box-crashing midfielder because Lavia and Caicedo are protecting and they're behind him. And to score that goal, mate, like Enzo Fernández right now, let's talk about him a little bit first, because his numbers this season are not even quietly anymore because he's doing it week on week at the minute. Enzo Fernández has been magnificent, hasn't he?
I never really believed that Enzo Fernández was an out-and-out number 6. I think when he's played for Argentina, he's been an 8. I think, when he's at his best for us, he's an 8/ even a 10, to be fair. I want to see him get in the box and get goals. I think his shooting is improving. I think he can start bagging more goals and more assists. But to do that, he needs to be in an attacking position. And let's be honest, the only real way to do that is to have Lavia and Caicedo or another one of those DMs. Like, let's be honest, mate, Santos could play that role quite easily, and let's pray to God that he sticks around. We've got that new guy, Asugu, as well, who's more of a defensive midfielder. And again, we kind of need more players in that mould because, quite frankly, if we are playing Champions League football or any European football next season, we need to be resting, Caicedo, because fucking hell, if we do you know what, mate? I'm really glad that Caicedo won the awards that he did last night, but also I haven't heard too many people giving him his flowers. Like, I've heard a lot of people say how magnificent Lavia was, and let's speak no beds about it. He's exceptional and it has changed the team with the way he's played. But week in, week out, Moisés Caicedo has allowed Enzo Fernández to do what he goes and does, right? And I think, Enzo should be giving Caicedo a lot of credit for the amount of ground that he covers and his quality of his performances, the quality of his tackles, the way that he can invert and be backwards and forwards from a central position to a right-back position is just magical. But yeah, going back to your question, mate, Enzo Fernández has always been a quality player. People have questioned how good he really is, and also questioned the transfer fee involved, right? But again, he has proven everyone wrong. He's shown his quality. He's shown how good he is. And we know that he can bag goals. What I do think we need to be doing now is putting pressure under every single one of those players to earn their right to be in that team. And Moisés Caicedo and Enzo have absolutely done that. Now, Cole Palmer needs to keep up his performances because he knows that he's got someone like an Enzo who could easily play in that number 10 role and be really, really good at it. But yeah, I think, look, we were so worried about overspending, and because we've been so burnt with transfer fees in the past, I think every Chelsea fan had a right to be like, oh, are these players actually worth 100 million? Like, do we really need to be forking out that kind of money? And let's be honest, the directors of football have played a blinder with those two signings. Like, they absolutely have found diamonds, not really even in the rough. They've just found diamonds, mate. It's beautiful. We've got two diamonds in the middle of our midfield. We're not even playing the diamond.
It's very quick in football, especially with Chelsea. Like, you can change opinions very quickly. And I wanna just make something clear here again, because I've said the same thing for a few weeks now, but people keep reminding me, oh, you got nothing bad to say about Maresca today. Of course I bloody don't, mate. He put out the best lineup he could have done. He put out the best team he could have done. He made the right substitutions at the right time. And, just to clarify, I said if he gets Champions League football, I back him and keep him. If he doesn't, out the door. Because is it progress? No, not if we miss out on it. But I'm telling you now, the midfield in particular is the position at Chelsea right now that I'm not concerned about in the slightest. I think Asugu coming in is actually more of a technical decision that actually makes sense in terms of filling that squad. Dewsbury Hall, I don't know what we were thinking when we brought this guy in at the start of the season. Yes, he's got a bit better in those Thursday night games, but Dario Asugu is a defensive midfielder who will be protection for a Caicedo, for a Santos, for a Lavia in those games where Chelsea should be winning. Like, if we play Sheffield United at home on a Wednesday night next season, Asugu might even get minutes to protect Caicedo and Lavia. So I think I understand what we've done in terms of midfield signings at the club. But Moisés Caicedo last night won the Players' Player of the Season. He won the Chelsea Men's Player of the Season. Congratulations to Big Moy. For me, it's the consistency that this guy shows. If I'm looking up, I'll put the stats up on the screen. Yesterday, 5 out of 8 ground duels won. 3 out of 3 aerials. It's not like he's flipping Lanky McGee either. Like, he's not the tallest, biggest player. But he's just so agile. He gets around. He's everywhere on the pitch. It's such a joy to watch Moisés Caicedo play football, isn't it?
It is, and also I think what we're realising now, and you see this yesterday when we were watching the game. Like, I don't want to single out too many players for criticism, but there are certain, like, I feel that, I'll just say it, Noni Madueke sometimes I feel is a little bit selfish with the way that he makes his runs. He doesn't make the passes that he needs to in certain moments, and that annoys me as a fan. Whereas you compare that to the unselfishness of a Moisés Caicedo and also Enzo as well. They make difficult runs. They cover people when they're out of position. They really make us tick. And what I'm seeing more than anything, and what I'm really encouraged by, and I think Noni will improve on this as well, is that we're building a team unit. We discussed this earlier on in terms of like the overall mentality. But like the players are sacrificing elements of their own game to be able to make other players better, and I fucking love that. Like if you can play a Lavia and a Caicedo and they do all of the horrible stuff that no one else wants to do, and that enables Enzo and it enables Cole Palmer to unlock their game and perform in a way that they wouldn't otherwise be able to. That is exactly what you want from a football team. And I think there's eras that we've had at Chelsea where we've had individuals, and I think there's eras at Chelsea where we've had a really cohesive team. And I don't think it's a coincidence in that the era in which we had a really cohesive team with maybe 1 or 2 superstars in it, like an Eden Hazard, but Eden Hazard still was a team player. Yeah. I think that's when we've won things. And I think, again, like I said, this isn't going to happen overnight. And and to be fair, I think you and I were saying this when the board came in and they made the takeover. I think what I was saying on every podcast I possibly could was that we're starting a transition and it's going to take years. Like, you can't build a football club from scratch and just hope that it works. It takes a long time to build the foundations, especially in the Premier League, which is one of the most competitive leagues in the world. And I think, you know, what are we now? The end of year 3? End of year 3 from the takeover, I think it is, right? It's really encouraging. Like, we're seeing positive signs. We're going in the right direction. Yes, we're not in the European competition yet that we want to be, but we absolutely now have it in our hands to be able to go and do that. And I think the team spirit is something that I think is the most difficult to build, and yet what is something that is quite obvious to see that we are building now.
I think what I like the most about what we saw yesterday in particular is the fact that I've needed a bit of persuading personally. But I've needed persuading not because I've wanted to have this like negative feel. I don't want to think negatively about my club. I don't want to look at the decisions that we make and not be able to relate to it. I don't want to be in the Conference League or the Europa League. Like, all of those things are granted points. To see us actually play well against a really good side and take serious steps towards achieving a goal that is a huge one. No one would be able to deny that Chelsea are going in the right direction if we get Champions League football this season. I know it's been one of those where, like, you look at the table and everyone, like, do you want it? Do you want it? No, I don't want it, mate. You can have it. It's a bit like that. And it's like that all over the table this season. Like, teams have gone on good runs and then they've fallen off. And then you've got your Bournemouths, your Brentfords that are unbeaten in their last 5 again after they had a stinker for a month or so. Like, it's been a very competitive Premier League season. But to actually see us beat a team that have been a level above everybody else, for me, is the greatest thing. And I'm going to whack up on the screen for you lot to see it now, the average positions here, because I think this tells us a lot, particularly about Lavia yesterday. And this is something that, if you look at Lavia's performances in a Chelsea shirt, when he's played this season, very often, the majority of the time, he's literally in that centre circle, whether it is where you kick the ball off or not. What Lavia does is he's got this ability where he can receive the ball in tight spaces, either with his back to goal and turn and go forward, or he's always looking forward. And I think what that does is I think it protects Caicedo, first of all, because if he's doing that pivoted, like, in front of the defender role by himself all of the time, which obviously when he's playing at right back, it's a bit different. When Caicedo doesn't have to do all of that mopping, sweeping, he's literally got his right-hand man right there in Roméo Lavia. And I think what Lavia has done, like, he didn't even give the ball away yesterday. Every single pass he made went straight to a Chelsea player. And the amount of times, right, I'm frustrated because obviously I want players to take risks. And you can't look at passing metrics, right? I'm going to be a bit statty for you here. You can't look at passing metrics, and if you don't give the ball away, that doesn't mean you're doing well. It's got to be the right kind of passes. But what we're seeing Enzo Fernández do is make the line-breaking passes, and he's got the freedom to do that because he's protected behind him. So he doesn't have to just like quick release. He's got the time to look up and actually spray the ball. So that midfield, for me, was absolutely solid yesterday. And forget where Liverpool are. Forget what they've done. We are coming for the Champions League. I'm telling you now. It is seriously.
One last point, right, on the midfield, because then I think we should talk about the race to Champions League. I can see you itching to talk about that.
But I want to talk about Osimhen too, by the way.
Yeah, we'll talk about Osimhen as well. Yeah. I am slightly worried about how many amazing options we're going to have in midfield next season. And I mean that from a loving perspective. But fuck me, if we do keep hold of Santos, which I think is a big if, and I am slightly worried about that now, bearing in mind that, that Lavia is, fully fit by the looks of it. And obviously we've got other signings as well. How the hell is a player like Santos going to get into that team? And he deserves to be playing, week in, week out. He deserves to be playing that. So I think what a lovely problem to have in that we have so many young, exciting, quality players, contracted to Chelsea. It's going to be interesting, mate, trying to fit all of those boys in next season.
I'll tell you what. It's funny hearing you say that because I actually do agree. And it's funny because I know people are going to be like, but Benson, you were crying about how many kids we've got recently. And I think with this squad, you can see that there's quality there. You can see that there's talent there. And it's about cherry picking now. You've already bought the bulk of it. You can see the standard that we could be at. And imagine yesterday, there was a moment yesterday in the game where I knew it was going to come. It's taken 17 and a half minutes. A shout out to all of you that are still here. We're talking about the big V09 again, ladies and gentlemen. Pedro Neto, right, when it comes to crossing the ball in the box, he has got a delicate foot. Let's call it that. He whips it in countless times. And I'm telling you, Chelsea could have had 3 or 4 more goals if Osimhen played yesterday. And I know that for a fact, all right? I've seen the future. I've seen it all happen. It's a catch-22 right now, isn't it, for us? Because Santos might look at this and be like, well, if Lavia's fit, I might not actually get to play. But is Lavia always going to be fit? I can't say that that's going to happen right now. So Chelsea are in a bit of a predicament, and that is going to be down to man management. How does Maresca speak to both of those players and find a way to put them both in the team?
Do you want to know another thing, mate? Is that what you're just describing isn't just a problem for a Santos. It's a problem for Reece James, and it's a problem for Malo Gusto, because you can't play all 3 of those midfielders as a 4-3-3 because we don't play that system.
No.
And so if I'm Reece James, who by the way didn't come on first, he was a substitution after Malo Gusto. I'm thinking, fuck. How the hell am I going to be playing a DM which Maresca thinks that is my best position when I've got the players that we just listed, all of the new signings? If I'm Reece James, I'm worried. I'm worried about how I'm going to get into the team. And that is crazy to say, bearing in mind his quality. He's got to stay fit and he's got to really push on now if he wants to be in the squad, let alone Malo Gusto, who, quite frankly, I worry about where he even fits in for Chelsea now in the system.
We were going to talk about Cole Palmer, but we've got so much to talk about today that we're going to postpone that for a second. No, I love it because you've just got me thinking here again because Maresca I think he loves Malo Gusto. And I think the only reason Gusto probably hasn't been featuring as much recently, although he did come on before James, as you said, we'll go into that a bit more. Maresca really loves Gusto. He's spoken really highly about him this season. He's featured him often when he's been fit. I can't get my head around the Reece James thing, because it is a bee in my bonnet still very much about this because I don't want to think that he's being ushered out of the door because it's profit and all of that stuff. And look, if he does stay fit, then Chelsea can be like, oh, look, Reece James is fit again. So you're talking about a serious wedge to get him through the door for someone else. I just don't want Reece James to go. And I don't know if this is just like, when you're a kid and that teddy that you had from day one, right? You grew up with it. You know the smells. It smells like toothpaste, whatever. And all of the threads have been pulled out of that teddy bear. Do you know what I mean? And this is a very relevant story for Reece James because he's been down to a thread with his muscles on countless occasions.
I think his hamstring is hanging on by a thread, to be honest.
But you don't want to see it go. And I'm not a hoarder, right? I don't want to see Chelsea having 60 players in our squad. I'm not here to just hoard all of the all the toys. But it's Reece James, for goodness sake, Champions League winner on his day, the best right back in the world, in my opinion. There's got to be a way here that Maresca can work the best out of Reece James. We shouldn't be looking at this, I don't think, thinking, well, where does Reece James fit in? I'm sorry, if anyone's going to be sold, Chelsea should be considering bids for Malo Gusto. I think Gusto is a great player, but I think you could easily, Liverpool, for example, if Trent does go, Liverpool would be very interested in Malo Gusto, I think. I think he'd be a great player for Liverpool. 45, 50 million. It's profit for Chelsea. It's great on the books after that long contract was signed. I don't want to see Reece go.
I think it makes a big difference. Yeah, I think the situation that I want to bring Reece James on is actually exactly the situation that we saw yesterday. I think you want to be bringing Reece on when we are trying to hang on to a game and you want a steady head, experienced guy that's been there and played at Chelsea at the top level. And I think actually Enzo Maresca regretted his decision to bring on Malo Gusto, and that is why he put Malo Gusto into midfield. Reece James was the one that actually ended up being the right back, and I do think it makes a lot of sense what you're saying. If you're trying to offload a right back, which you could absolutely do, bearing in mind how imperious and how much Enzo Maresca loves Josh Champong as well. Like,
very
you could
good
offload one of those. And look, mate, we were saying in the last podcast about not having to sell players, but selling players because we need to get some more money in to be able to afford and pay for wages for the huge talent that we want to sign in, like a player like Osimhen, who I'll bring it back to because I know you love talking about him, but also some of the other sort of like top class talent. I mean, I would love some of that money to be reinvested in like a world class goalkeeper, for example. So get me a centre back, maybe two of them. Get me a goalkeeper. If we don't rate Petrovic, which we might do, and then get me Osimhen, and then I think you can sell a player like Malo Gusto. I think it's entirely feasible, and I think it's actually entirely logical. But yeah, I do worry about Reece James, but perhaps that sort of like captain ability and that sort of mentality will mean that they'll try and keep him. And I do think Trent will end up going to Real Madrid still.
My worry would be that Liverpool come in for Reece James. Like, I think that could be a possibility as well, couldn't it? Like, that would be a disaster.
It could. I don't know where the board really stand on sort of like transfers within the top 4 or top 6. Have we seen any thus far? I don't think we have. I can't think of
Kai
many.
Havertz sold to Arsenal.
Kai Havertz, yeah, Livramento,
but he was
maybe.
Bloody awful, wasn't he? And,
yeah,
I mean, do you know what? Lewis Hall, there's plenty, mate. I don't think they care. Money's money, innit?
Yeah, and look, it's also that with those boys that we mentioned there, it's pure profit. I mean, the Havertz deal was one of those ones where it made sense for everyone to do that deal.
Yeah.
I don't begrudge that. What I don't want to be doing is sort of overtly strengthening at the top 6 team, and I don't think Kai Havertz overtly strengthened Arsenal. To be fair, I think we might have weakened them. And to be fair, the Mason Mount one, I mean, I don't class Man United as challengers anymore, to be fair. But also, I mean, it's worked out. So I don't know, mate. Like, I think Reece James is in a different category for me, and I think he is for you as well.
Yeah.
But I can't see them sanctioning a move of a player of his quality and his age to Liverpool. I just can't see it. Look at what they did with Gallagher. I think that Gallagher could have gone to Spurs and maybe he rejected them, but he ends up going to Atletico. So maybe that's the case study that we should be looking at.
Connor would have never gone to Spurs, by the way, just for the record. Absolutely never.
No, I agree.
But I guess the topic also needs to be addressed here is about Caicedo. If we are talking about potentially selling Reece James or Augusto, hypothetically, it also kind of does make sense with that Champong being promoted and given more of a role next season and the funds that could be available for those sales. Does that mean then that with the Santos, Enzo, Lavia, Isugo options in the midfield, does this mean that Caicedo is now a right back? Because I'm hearing what people are saying, right? People are saying, well, yeah, Caicedo does a great job there because he's world class, because he's so good and he understands football like Palmer does. And I'm still alluding that we're getting to Palmer because we definitely are. But Caicedo does that in a defensive phase of the pitch where he can see what's coming, a tackle before the tackle. Do you know what I mean? Which is why it's so great that him and Lavia are so close. Is it a bad thing? Is it wasting Caicedo? Because that's what people are thinking here. They're like, well, he's a DM. He's a world-class DM, but he's playing as a right-back and there's like this inversion and then he has to defend wide areas. But he does that well. Is it a problem? Do you see it as an issue?
Look, he doesn't really play as a right-back, is what I'm going to say back to that. And I think the way that that position, playing him unlocks getting another midfielder in the team. I think is worth it. But what do you think, mate? Because you sound like you're worried about it. Tell me.
I'm not worried personally. I think if we're gonna insist, there's a few things right about this whole inverting thing. I think it is a weird fetish that I wouldn't be paying money for in any kind of special club. You know, I don't go to those places ever. But
anymore,
what I would say,
anymore.
No, of course not. But what I will say is, I mean, I'll put the heat maps up. You guys know I love a good heat map, right? Moisés Caicedo, I mean, I'm seeing left centre midfield here, and he was supposedly a right back. Do you know what I mean? He's got it. That can happen, this whole right back inverted thing, which I'm not a huge fan of the idea, but it's working, so it's okay when it's working. The moment it doesn't, I'll be like, can't we just go back to football again? Do you know what I mean? If he's got someone who's like a protector enforcer, like Lavia, that can stay on the pitch for 80 minutes, which is very important, then I'm absolutely all for it. I don't see it as an issue, and I think it is testament, really, to Moisés Caicedo for just how good he is. But Caicedo's won the awards this season. Cole Palmer's disappeared, mate, for a few months now. But he's finally back. And I tell you what, right? I was about to end my stream. I was like, oh, going to end the stream quickly, get 6 things we learned started, big video, get it uploaded for the Mandem straight away. And everyone's like, penalty, penalty. I'm like, oh, you fake scores, all this nonsense. And it was. And guess who won the penalty? Moisés Caicedo, of course.
It was a well-deserved penalty, by the way.
Absolutely.
It was a foul.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think 2-1 actually was a bit of an injustice to Chelsea. So
I agree.
Cole Palmer steps up, emphatically buries it past Alisson, who goes the right way. But for me, mate, it wasn't the penalty that was the talking point for Palmer. It was the fact that once again, he just had that 2 seconds before everybody else, I know what's happening. And that's what's been missing. We mentioned that with Caicedo, and he does that consistently every week. Palmer did this every week last season. He was the diamond in the rough for Chelsea. He's gone missing for a couple of months now. Whether that is his mojo's gone or he's unhappy with Maresca, I don't give a shit right now. Because what I saw again yesterday was almost like a switch had been flicked on him again. And he's like, I can ball out against these lot. And I think fundamentally, right, this season more than any other season, it has been so apparent that Chelsea against low blocks, we massively struggle. And any team that's constantly playing against the low blocks, your creative talisman players are always going to struggle. And yesterday he was like, Liverpool ain't doing that. I can put my head around the back of all their players again, and I know exactly where I'm putting this ball every single time. And for me, it looked as simple as that, flick of a switch, and he seemed to be back on it again, loving his football yesterday.
I wouldn't say Cole Palmer's a confidence player per se, but I think he is a little bit of like a momentum player. And I also think he needs players around him to be at top level to be able to unlock what he needs to unlock. Like, was it the Newcastle game at the start of the season when he plays that ball to Pedro Neto? That is one of the best passes that I have ever seen on a football pitch. And I've been at Chelsea for 25 years and seen, Messi and whoever there, It was an unreal pass. And it's something instinctive where he knew that Pedro Neto was making that run. And he needs that relationship with all the players around him to know, Noni wants it onto feet because he wants to go and beat a player. Pedro wants it in front of him because he wants to run onto it and get a beautiful cross in for Nicholas Jackson to score the goal. Cole Palmer, the criticism around him recently, it's just so not justified. Like, he can't do it against the big teams. He's having a poor run of form. He hasn't scored all these goals. Quite frankly, in that run of games, Cole Palmer could have had about 20 goals. Like, he had so many chances where he either hit the post or something was blocked or he was just offside or whatever, right? There was so many nearly moments with him. And I think this is the difference between, like when you hear these pundits and the YouTubers and whatever, like, I'm not talking about Chelsea YouTubers, I'm talking about people that aren't Chelsea fans. They see the stats and they watch Match of the Day and they go, I didn't see Cole Palmer very much on Match of the Day, so he must have played shit. And this is the thing, it's the same with Moisés Caicedo. Like, again, a lot of non-Chelsea fans wouldn't be putting Moisés Caicedo in the team of the season per se because they don't watch him. They don't actually see what he does. They don't see the tackles on Match of the Day. It's not a big highlight moment. Whereas what Cole Palmer often does is he'll do the pass before the assist, or he'll make space and then allow another player to do it. But then also the impact that he makes is amazing and completely changes Chelsea in the way that we play. He should have won the Premier League Player of the Season last season. He was completely robbed for that title in a breakout season, really, a debut season, really, for him. And I think he deserves a huge plaudits for the way that he's played. He is the metronome that ties the team together. And even when he isn't performing, he still performs better than a lot of other players on the pitch. And so, let's be honest, mate, he's going to be the talisman even into next season, even when we've got all of these players, and even when we're having discussions about, trying to fit quality like Santos in the team and whatever.
Estevan.
Cole Palmer's but Cole Palmer's the first name on the team sheet.
Yeah,
he literally is. That isn't a turn of phrase. So I think everyone that's criticising him really needs to have a look at the way he plays, because he's brilliant, and again, week in, week out, he's still quality.
I think the thing that Palmer is so good at is when he's got so much of the pitch in front of him and there isn't loads of players there. So Maresca's biggest thing that he's going to have to figure out is how he's going to give more of the ball away. Because Chelsea, we look so much better when there's actually a bit more balance in the game. And it's going to be very hard, right? And I've gone over the whole low block thing too much probably. But it's going to become harder and harder for teams to beat the lower teams in the bottom of the table, because they will just sit back. Still massively up to the wingers at Chelsea, who recently, funnily enough, they've actually decided to turn up in games. Neto is levels above performance-wise right now. So I think Chelsea need to be more clinical out wide and, of course, through the middle. But when Palmer's got the space, he can see the pass, he knows where it's going to go. So how do Chelsea give more of the ball away, I think, is what we need to be working on. Because yesterday, we were so happy to just let Liverpool have it. And this is why Lavia, again, I bring it back to that midfield. When you've got Lavia and Caicedo in the middle there, you don't mind if you don't have the ball, because you're always going to get the chance to win it. And then if you do win it, you've got Lavia, who don't give the ball away when he's got it, who's going to then be able to transition and move you forward up the pitch. Then you've got Palmer, who can play that pass and see that run. But then I guess we also should probably touch upon Nicholas Jackson yesterday, who unfortunately I don't think had a very good game. I think he might have thought the opposite. I think he was a bit disappointed or unhappy, didn't understand why Enzo Maresca was bringing him off. But I thought Jackson was poor yesterday. I'm not going to lie. What did you think about him?
Yes, bit of a stinker. Bit of a stinker. And look, when you're sat, I'm in the East Upper and I'm sat there and I'm going, bring Tyreek George on as a centre forward. Something's gone wrong with your centre forward, and that's no. Not to disparage Tyreek George, I think it's just more, we expect a lot more from the out-and-out number 9 that's the only number 9 in our team right now. So yeah, Nicholas Jackson is so mercurial. He can just turn games on their head. And also, let's be honest, mate, the previous game, the goal that he scored was an absolute banger. It was an absolutely ridiculous goal from the edge there. Yeah,
but he can't go. It's hot and cold. Do you know what I mean?
It is, and this is the problem with him. And it's the problem with a lot of players is inconsistency. Like, basically, if you're consistently 7 out of 10, you're going to be playing week in, week out, right? But if you have a 9 out of 10 game, then you have a 4 out of 10 game, you're less likely to be starting. And I think this is the biggest problem. And really, mate, you and I have beat this drum quite extensively. We need competition for him, and Mark Yu is one of those players that can be a competition, but we all know the answer to this, mate. They should have done it in January. They should have done it at the end of last season. Bring a fucking striker in to play.
I don't know why I find it so funny.
I've never known anyone to have more of a love interest in a footballer than you with this guy. Like, I am actually a little bit concerned about. Like, I love Mykhailo Mudryk, but my love for Mykhailo Mudryk is less than your love for Victor Osimhen, I have to say.
It's a bit obsessive. It's borderline obsessive at this point. So with that in mind, I don't want to talk about strikers anymore, because I don't want to put Nicholas Jackson under the bus. He doesn't need to be, because everybody else bailed him out from his 4 out of 10. But we're recording this on Monday morning your time. Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, which we all know Palace are winning that 2-1, so Forest are not getting 3 points tonight.
I love the confidence.
No, I genuinely believe that. I'm putting money on it too. This little Champions League race, I say little, it's massive. It's £100 million. It's elite football on a Tuesday night. It is that iconic song. I'm desperate for it. I'm absolutely desperate. Almost as desperate as signing certain players. What do you think's going to happen, mate, now? Because that match against Liverpool, the 3 points, has done a lot for me to alleviate that like complete and utter frustration at the 4 that we dropped against Brentford and Ipswich total. Those 3 against Liverpool could have easily been 0 or 1. So in terms of like that balancing act now, a Newcastle drawing at Brighton yesterday, which I also predicted that scoreline too, 1-1. So definitely getting the Forest one correct tonight. This game at Newcastle now is just, it's incredibly big, isn't it? Like if we win that one, it's a party, isn't it? Surely.
It's looking good. I mean, look, mate, let's discuss this race extensively here. I don't know. I'm going to go through the teams now in order. I don't know if Arsenal are guaranteed to finish where they are now. And I'm not going to say necessarily that they're going to drop out, but Arsenal have got Liverpool in the next game, who will be wanting to right the wrongs of the Chelsea result. They then play Newcastle at 4:30 on Sunday the 18th at the Emirates. And you know that Newcastle, irregardless of the result against us, are going to be very, very up for that game. So I weirdly think that Newcastle might get a result there. And then they've got Southampton at the end of the season. But last game of the season, stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. So, and also, I think Southampton are still on Derby's lowest points record. So they were to say something that they haven't got anything to play for on the last day of the season. They might have something to play for. So just remember that. Arsenal could finish lower than we expect. First of all.
Yeah.
Right? Does that get you excited?
I mean, I'm just looking through all the fixtures now as you're saying this, because I'm going to whack these up on the screen for people so that they've got the relevance. But it's actually, they actually could be dragged in here, Arsenal, quite easily, couldn't they?
Quite easily, yeah. They could get 0 points out of the next 2 games very easily. Very easily.
Yeah, Newcastle, especially if Chelsea do get a result against Newcastle will be all guns blazing, no excuse but go for the win. They've got no other choice.
I weirdly think now that Man City will finish second.
Just because their fixtures are also very kind, aren't they?
They are. So for anyone watching now, they've got Southampton at home in the next game. And then what is the next one? Fulham is the last game of the season. Bournemouth and then Fulham. So the last two aren't bankers, to be fair. Oh God, actually, maybe I might be changing my mind, George. Bournemouth and Fulham are not bankers. I mean, they've got an easy game in the next game. So this is interesting, right? Because a lot of people just said, oh yeah, Manchester City guaranteed top 4. I think with those last 2 fixtures, and bear in mind, it's Bournemouth, isn't it? It's not Brentford. Bournemouth still have something to play for sure.
They do. They've got Conference League to play for. They're battling with Brentford and Brighton for that.
Yeah, so they're going to want to win that game. And I think Bournemouth versus City, I think they shape up quite well to be able to compete with City, to be fair. So, yeah, look, what we're saying is that that's not guaranteed. And then Newcastle have obviously got to play us, and they've got to play Arsenal, which, I mean, bloody hell, that's a tough one. And then also, last game of the season is Everton, which I've got a weird feeling about that one as well. But that's not an easy run of fixtures. And then I think Forest have got a relatively easy run. Let's just read out those ones for everyone now. Forest, they've got Palace. Obviously, by the time most people watch this, you'll know the result of that. Then they've got West Ham. They need a result. And then they've got Chelsea.
So it could still come down to that final game, couldn't it?
Well,
the question I have for you is, is there like a increased confidence now after beating Liverpool? We could go to Newcastle because I was, as you guys know, I've been setting up the duvet in the old little one-person cupboard I got behind me right now for that Newcastle game. I'm not looking forward to it, but there's a big but here. This is a positive podcast today. Smack a like on it. Subscribe if you're new. Check out Josh's channel, link in the description. Chelsea-Newcastle is now a game I genuinely think, having watched Newcastle against Brighton should have won, all right? They should have won. Newcastle weren't good. They really weren't good. Chelsea were very good. So why can't we go to St James's Park? Reece James's Park, mate.
Is that what we're calling it now?
Yeah. He's scoring a free kick on Sunday. He's scoring a free kick.
I have to say, if we beat Newcastle, I'm feeling a lot less nervous about getting in. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm feeling a lot less nervous because I think we could get a draw last game of the season against against Forest. Everyone's a winner. And let's be honest, mate. If we don't beat Man United, we don't deserve to be in the Champions League. I'm sorry.
No. That is for me. Man United are a laughable joke, mate. Like that Brentford game. Brentford are very good going forward. I'll give Brentford some flowers there. I actually made a video about them today on More GBFC because they've just been very good. They've got some great players, but Manchester United, they're all over the shop. So that United game really is. And I think regardless of if they lose to Bilbao, they're too deflated. They know they've got nothing to play for. How do you motivate yourself? If they win, then Amorim doesn't play his strongest team. They are relaxing because they can't get injuries before beating Tottenham in a final, which is obviously also a given. So if Man United do get to the final now, they'll probably win it because Tottenham can't win anything.
They're getting to the final as well, by the way.
Yeah. There's no way they lose a 3-goal lead, right?
Athletic, they're not going to come back. So, yeah, I mean, they're absolutely getting to the final. So, that game now, this is the thing, mate. It's always about the circumstances of the team. Obviously, we played Liverpool at the most perfect possible time. We've obviously got Man United at a time in which they don't give a fuck. Like, this is almost like the perfect game. And then you do kind of want to see Forest either in it or out of it. Guaranteed by the time we play them. And I think that could end up falling quite well. So then the only real game that you've got is that Newcastle game. And let's be honest, as you say, mate, that could go either way. I still think that's a really hard game. I think that's almost like one of the hardest games you could play. Like right now, who would I least rather play? I'd rather play Arsenal than Newcastle.
100%. I think this Newcastle fixture is the worst.
I'd rather play City than Newcastle. So yeah, like that's going to be a very hard game. Very, very
What
hard
about
game,
Aston
especially
Villa? Because Aston Villa won 1-0 at the weekend against Fulham. Not the best game of football. But they've got Bournemouth, Spurs and Manchester United, who Aston Villa can beat Bournemouth, but I think that'll be a tough game. Tottenham and Man United will both have their eyes probably on the Europa League final at that point. So that's probably 6 points for Aston Villa. Is there any way that Aston Villa managed to keep themselves alive in this race, especially because Chelsea and Forest are both playing each other?
Yeah,
it's still so tight, isn't it?
Yeah, the only way they could do it, I think, because let's be honest, Forest are in 6th right now. Like, I don't think it's necessarily just Forest that Villa need to worry about. I think the only way they do it is if they get 9 points. If they get 9 points, yeah, absolutely they could be challenging. But beyond that, you got to look at their goal difference as well. Do you know what the thing I was thinking about yesterday? I don't know if you know the answer to this. Did the Premier League change the rule where if it's the same goal difference, it's now head to head?
No, I think then it goes to goals scored first. I had this conversation on the stream the other day, I think. And again, I'm just trusting the chat here, so I hope you guys haven't let me down. I think it is then goals scored, then head to head.
Interesting. Because the goal difference is a part of this now. The reason why I say that is you look at the Arsenal goal difference, that's 33, so they're pretty much beyond us. But Manchester City on 24, Newcastle on 21, Chelsea on 21, Forest on 12, and Aston Villa on 6. So when we're talking about Aston Villa in particular, their goal difference is so far beyond, they are effectively a point behind, aren't they?
Yes.
So
yes.
If we also, like, say we get 6 points out of the next 9, we will finish above Villa. So
this is looking better. It's looking better. So, mate.
Can you do me a favour? Can you try? Because I feel like we do this on everything, but I want you to try and predict it now, and I want you to try and predict it in order.
I mean, oh man. Okay, so Liverpool obviously number 1. I am gonna say for now, Man City, I'm going to say second. I think you're right with that shout. I don't think that's a bad shout whatsoever. Arsenal third. Oh, Newcastle and Chelsea, man. Bloody hell. I'm going to say I'm really confident after this Liverpool game now. I don't know if this is just blind confidence. I know that people are going to be like, it's Monday morning, Benson. Like, get off your high horse. Like, no. I'm staying here for a little bit, all right? I'm going to chill out on this bloody horse. We're going to finish 4th. Newcastle are coming 5th. Aston Villa are coming 6th. And Nottingham Forest are going to win the Conference League next season and be happy about it. Everyone's a winner, mate. Aston Villa will win the Europa League. Forest will... Okay, we're going to come back to this podcast next year, right? Forest are going to win the Conference League. Aston Villa are going to win the Europa League. And Chelsea, we're going to have Barcelona in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Whether we win it or not remains to be seen.
The Forest are not going to be in the Conference League. No way.
Why? Why not?
Because the Conference League is 8th, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, because we've got 5
so
Champions League places.
I take that all
6th
back
and
then.
7th will be Europa League, and then 8th will be Conference League. Now, does that change if someone wins the FA Cup?
Let's
the
have
only
a little
thing
ganders because
if
we're
Palace is Palace City in the final of the FA Cup? To be honest with you, I'm going to just tell the audience now. I've switched off from the FA Cup. I don't give a fuck about it. It's dead to
because
me.
Man City are going to win it.
Well, no, just because we're not in it.
I'm glad you said that because I love the FA Cup. So we
Okay.
were about to have a serious ruckus over.
No. Just as soon
over
as
the
Chelsea
line
go
here.
out of it, I just don't give a fuck. Like whoever can win it, they
so
can
I've
win
got
it.
this up here from the Premier League website. One is traditionally awarded to the 5th place finisher in the Premier League, but this season it will go to the 6th place team because England have received an additional 5th Champions League spot. The other Europa League place goes to the winners of the FA Cup, so it's 6th place and the FA Cup winners.
So if Man City win the FA Cup, that means that will be 7th place that get the Europa League spot, and then 8th place will get the Conference League spot. So
Yes.
there is a scenario in which Palace get the Europa League spot,
Yes.
and that means that 7th place would be Conference League. So that is possible. In that world, that is possible that Forest get the Conference League then.
It's doable. It's doable. You heard it here first on GBFC.
Wow.
It's why I tell you all the time to subscribe to the channel. I'm not messing about, guys. You know, we're here for the long haul. I've been on this platform for a surplus of a decade, mate. All right? You should
That's
trust
mad.
in what I have to say. Josh, mate, I've loved this conversation. I love talking about Chelsea after we destroy the champions. It's a sign of things to come, I'm hoping. I feel like I've turned a corner. This weekend, I'm finally able to genuinely look forward with some serious optimism. It was kind of like brewing inside of me in the last couple of weeks, but after that yesterday, it's real. All right? I'm telling you.
I
It's like Santa
enjoy
Claus. It's real.
positive Benson so much.
So do I, mate. I do as well. Everything's great. Everything's great. I got my flipping vitamin water. I broke my light yesterday. I don't know if people can see
You need
this,
to
but
stop
yes,
punching lights, mate.
I accidentally broke my old. Well,
How
I
did you
double
do
broke
that?
it. When we scored, I can't remember which goal it was, either the first one or the second one. But I get these like little flitty moments, you know. And yeah,
I'm
trust
gutted I
me.
missed that. This is the problem with going to the games. You miss the streams.
That's it. But everyone else can watch it for you. Don't worry. People were in the stream. They were absolutely.
I heard
loving it.
everyone else was watching it, to be fair.
That's true. It's very true. Guys, check out Josh's channel, linked in the description. Also, check out the Joey and Josh channel, one of my favourites currently on YouTube, Joey and Josh together. It's a dream team. I do steal him once a week. Thank you very much for coming on, mate. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this episode, you can check it also out on Spotify if you want to listen to it again. You should. Go and drop us a follow there. Give us a 5-star rating. GBFC memberships, they're linked in the description. We had 15 gifted memberships yesterday from our man.
Wow.
I think it was Oladeweji, I think his name is. He donated
Wow.
us 15
Legend.
memberships. Absolute hero. And yeah, I'll see you lot tomorrow.